Hello everyone, Morrison. Welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, fresh development. For today's video, terms only. Investment content part today will be Ethereum ticker ETH. I know it's my second video that I'm posting again today, and with respect to the recording time of 6:11 p.m. on the Eastern time, current trend like the $2,438, up about 0.67% so far. And first, I just want to apologize for posting a little bit later than usual today. I was in a meeting, or consecutive meetings today, for about 7 hours straight. Ever since the morning, I just went out to the city and I was in three separate meetings in Midtown, Uptown, and then subsequently downtown. So I spread across the whole Manhattan, if you may. So I've just been engaging with people, talking, interacting, negotiating, pitching at the same time. So it's a lot of communications today, so I'm relatively drained. But when I was on the way home, I got a little bit of rest when I was commuting, taking a train home. Collectively speaking, today has a interesting mixture of different dynamics that's driving some surge pressure across the crypto assets side of the world, with respect to Bitcoin being up about 3% today, and Ethereum up about 0.71% today. Right, and collectively speaking, also in contingencies of the equity market as well. Today we had a relatively more of a normalized day on the index side. On Nasdaq, basically down about 0.71%. SPY is kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, up about 0.1% so far. So not really doing much, but we had some surge across the stock market today, but that subsequently kind of normalized because of that safe haven effect and people just taking profit. That's just a very normal course of cadence, right? However, with respect to crypto, on specifically Ethereum, and I was looking through the news, right? We have a lot of positive news today, and collectively, I would say, it's interesting. A lot of regurgitating news, but also at the same time, reinforcement news and some new news as well that was released. So just to keep tabs, right? So we have a couple of news from Bazinga. One is talking about Ethereum, on the verge of reversal right now based on the technical analysis. We have been reversing for quite some time now, so I'm not sure what that means specifically by what they say have reversed. We've reversed since the 1750, which was the bottom that we hit back in the day, and it was only a couple of days ago, right? I think not a couple of days ago, I think about a week or so ago, on the 20th of July, when we're at the $1750 level, which is the level that I actually bought the dip. I bought 2 Ethereum from there. So I think the media affectation is a little bit funky. It's like, what do you mean we have reversed? I think we have been reversing already. And then continually, as I'm reading through the news, it talks about happy birthday Ethereum. So as you know, it's the birthday for Ethereum of the founding, right? 6 years anniversary now. So happy birthday to Ethereum, 6 years old now. And this news from Bazinga again is just basically a regurgitation on some of the value proposition that Ethereum stands for. How is that adjustable in comparisons to other coins? Obviously compared to Bitcoin, but also other altcoin. So another positive news that was coming from Bazinga again, right? And then another positive news coming from Decrypt. And this is coming out about like 7 hours ago, and this is talking about an investing app called Wealthfront. It's offering the Grayscale's Bitcoin and Ethereum products, right, comparable to what JP Morgan is doing, right, with respect to Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust and also the Ethereum Trust as well, both on the regular ones and also Ethereum Classic at the same time, right? So another stamp of approval from another institutional venture app that's being used, right? And also another one that I see here is another news that got picked up is another regurgitation news around Coinbase Venture, backing Ethereum-based streaming network, right? The company is called LivePeer, and they're currently raising a 20 million Series B round, and they have a large pool of VC investors in this space, right? And these are all very seasoned institutional investors like Coinbase Venture, which is a corporate venture capital arm of Coinbase, with CoinFund, Northzone, Six Men's Venture, and Animal Ventures at the same time, right? So collectively speaking, we have like 7 positive news today so far, right? And also we got the confirmatory news from the FOMC meeting that they're not going to be inflating anytime soon. On top of this, stamp of approval from a lot of the major banks as well, like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, which, all of these collections of positive news so far. And I would say this is the counting off ever since the BR Summit that we've had on the 21st, and it's durating for quite some time now, right? About over a week now, right? So I'm gonna go through technical analysis to see how is the trends going right now, because with these consecutive, frankly coincidental positive news that we've been percolating so far, are we in the scheme of manipulations right now by the whales? Are they gonna basically pull the carpet under us, as people are FOMOing and chasing the pump? Which most investors would be doing that. If you think about majority of investors are buying based on FOMO, based on emotions. But does the logic ties right now? So I'm gonna go through a technical analysis to see how that goes. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ETH, I'm recording at 6:17 p.m. on Eastern time. Current trend like $2,420 right now, down about 0.07%. So right now we're just kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, right, with respect to the positive news that we had today. Consecutively, I will say if you keep tabs of like how many positive news we've had since the B Word Summit, I would say if you talk about like, even the non-substantive news, like with respect to like Busta Rhymes, potentially buying Ethereum, that if you consider that's also positive news, I would say collectively speaking, you cannot count them with just 10 fingers. We have over like 15 to 20 positive news that we've been getting on a daily basis so far on pumping this up. Right, and collectively speaking, you see that these news are coming from collections of like Bazinga, Decrypt, Cointelegraph, and even Fox News, Fox Business, right? So obviously different media affectations have different ties into the asset holders in their respective conglomerates, right? So how coincidental is what we're seeing right now, right? Ahead of the obviously the B Word Summit was a confirmatory news that, that gave us gravitas from obviously Elon Musk, us, giving the step of approval, investing into Bitcoin, into Ethereum, into Dogecoin even. And then subsequently, how substantive are those news that we're currently getting right now? Right? I think a lot of the news that we have seen, the majority of the spectrums they're not really new news, right? We have, here and there, maybe 3 news that has been actually, confirmatory, and they are real and new developments. But majority of them are just basically regurgitating, right? Talk about the London fork, talk about the value proposition, how that juxtaposed with other coins. So the technical analysis is definitely a little bit stretched right now, right? If you take a look at the chart real quick, you could see that we crossed up, right? And we've been leaping up and away. And RSI is highly overbought right now, right? And like I keep telling you, historically, whatever goes up really, really fast, and we've seen this before, you've seen that, the RSI was extremely overbought at that point, right? It was basically screaming for it. There's a possibility that we could actually keep pumping if we get more positive news ahead of the London fork debut, right? And today is kind of a, it should have pumped even higher than 2,400, right? And we're trying to get to 2,450, which is a level of substantiveness that I told you about. But we never really got there because that's a resistance level that people bounce off of, right? So we have a probability that we can potentially go up from there. But remember, if you buy now, the risk is going to be dramatically increased because how funky and how fishy the news has been just consecutively and coincidentally. And at the same time, they have a lot of market powers, right? These whales, right? They have a lot of selling pressure that can incur, that they're just waiting for the time to do so, right? Would it be, and what would happen next would be consecutive negative news in the media front, right? And it will not be coincidental. It will be something that, I'm telling you right now that is foreseeable, right? The reason we've been driving this high right now is not really has to do with like any changes to the business model or the value proposition of Ethereum itself. It's just mainly driven by people seeing a positive indicator from the media front that influence them to purchase and also at the same time pumping because of FOMO, right? Of emotions, right? So, but if you think in that logical spectrum, like, has anything really been changed so far? Why is it driving up so much right now, right? Or is history repeating itself again, right? So if you buy now, that's fair, cause like we are not like, we are overbought, but we're not like completely extremely stretched up overbought like the way we were pumping up when we are like the 4,300 before. Definitely be cautious, right? Would I be advising buying now? Um, I mean, personally, I would not. Right? Again, I do have a relatively large holding myself, and the risk in the technical analysis perspective is telling me do not do it right now because it's not logical, and you are basically, the risk is definitely way higher for you to lose your money if you buy this in the short term perspective versus in a long term perspective. Right? Long term wise, I think it's fair game if you want to buy it now. It's still like a dip in comparisons to like the all time high we've had, right? The 4,300. And I know a lot of people bought at that level just based on the chart it's telling me right now, right? So be careful. If you want to buy now, let's say you have $100, right? Maybe put $10 in, right? If it goes down a little bit more, which is gonna be expected, then dollar cost average from there, right? But if you already have a relatively sizable position, I would hold off for now. Like myself, you have to practice patience. And when the chart is telling you that something is different, despite the news how it's pumping right now, remember the core of the business and the core of the assets has not been vastly changed, and it should not be influencing the price point right now that is demanding, right? If you think about it that way, logically speaking, would you be buying at a premium or would you be rather buying at a discount? Ask yourself that question, right? If you understand that, then you'll know the right answer to the question. So for me, my answer is basically nope, I'm not going to be buying now because the technical analysis is telling me, a very different story in comparisons to the story that the media companies are trying to pump to us. Just to recap all numbers in technical analysis, again, right, the fair level based on my risk aversion, I think 2,250 would be more likely as we cool down a little bit. Right now we're running really hot, right? And the dip was there. We were incurring that dip of 1,750, on the 20th. And subsequent to that B-Word Summit, we blew the hell up, right? Up and away, right? And it's been a week and a half of consecutive positive news so far, right? So remember that it's a reason for what's happening. The causation effect is kind of stretched up right now if you think about this logically, right? And ideally, I would love to be, basically buying at $2,150 level and $2,050 level. And I think the normalization should be coming, right? And I think, we are currently having a pump because of the London Fork debut and also with respect to just positive news that's been pumping. A lot of people are having that FOMO right now, right? And FOMO is an emotion that is not logical, right? You have fear of missing out. But it's not like that's like an expiration timeline for Ethereum, right? There isn't. There is not like they're going to be expired. It's just something that they create in your mind that you're going to miss out. But this thing is going to be, you could buy this like 3 years from now. Like, what's the rush for you to make some quick bucks right now, right? You could lose a lot of money, but you are in the business of risk mitigation. You're not in the business of timing the market. You're not in the business of like gambling, right? Because that's not the sports that we're playing. We are applying logics and numbers, and you look at the supply and demand dynamics, and that's what it's telling you. And you should follow that instead of like, what, I'm just going to take a gut feel. I'm going to take a leap of faith, because that never works well for anybody. That's called gambling. That's not called investing. So this is for today. Respect my technical analysis again on Ethereum. Hopefully this is helpful into giving you that clarity, that structure to how you execute going forward. I know it can be difficult for you to control your emotions when the pipe is pumping, when everybody's screaming to buy, but at the same time you have to really put yourself in that like bigger picture. Like, what is happening right now? Why why is it occurring so suddenly, and why is it so consecutively, right? Hopefully this is helpful. I would be careful because the risk is increasing, and when risk is increasing, you have a higher likelihood of losing money than actually gaining money, right? You could potentially get a little bit, but again, right, the dip it occurred a while back when I was screaming to buy at 1750, right? So hopefully this is helpful, and feel free to ask me any questions if coming up, and take care and have a great rest of the week, and you'll probably see me tomorrow on the weekend again, but stay tuned for the next video coming up. Take care. Bye.